If you have few or no friends, you've probably heard the same accusations your whole life. You're cold, you're weird, you're antisocial. But what if the story is completely wrong? What if the very traits that keep your social circle small are the same traits that can make you quietly powerful and over time surprisingly wealthy? In this video, you're going to see the psychology of people who have no friends and why loners often build wealth faster than everyone else. Not because they're better than other people, but because they're forced to play life on a different difficulty level. First, let's clarify something important. Having few friends is not the same thing as being a failure. For a lot of people, it's actually a side effect of three rare traits: extreme self-awareness, low tolerance for superficiality, and a brain that is constantly observing instead of performing. That mix can make you look distant on the outside, but inside, there is a lot more happening than most people see. Most social groups are built on unspoken rules. You are expected to laugh at the right moments, share similar interests, and keep the energy light and predictable. People who don't fit that script often get pushed to the edges. If you're the kind of person who prefers deep conversations over small talk, or who needs a lot of time alone after being around others, you probably know this feeling very well. What psychology studies show is that some people have a higher need for solitude and a lower need for constant validation. They recharge by going inward, not by surrounding themselves with noise. This doesn't mean they never feel lonely. It means that when given a choice, they would rather be alone than be in the wrong company. Here is where things get interesting. When you are not busy trying to manage a large social circle, your time and attention go somewhere else. You spend more hours thinking, learning, analyzing, and building private worlds inside your own mind. You might read more, study more, or experiment quietly with skills and ideas that other people ignore. Over months and years, that hidden investment starts to compound. While most people are spending their Friday nights making small talk they will forget tomorrow, the loner is often developing expertise, saving money, or working on projects that no one else knows about. They are not necessarily more talented. They simply have fewer social distractions pulling them away from long-term gains. Money, at its core, rewards people who can delay gratification, think independently, and tolerate boredom. These are exactly the skills that many loners are forced to develop just to survive. When you don't depend on constant social approval, it becomes easier to say no to expensive nights out, to trendy purchases, and to financial decisions that everyone is making but very few are thinking about. Another quiet advantage is emotional detachment. People with big social circles often make money decisions based on what will impress others or keep them accepted by the group. Loners, on the other hand, are more likely to ask a different question. Does this actually make sense for me? That simple shift can mean the difference between following the crowd into debt and quietly building a safety net. Think about investing, starting an online business, learning a technical skill, or working late on a freelance project. These things all require long stretches of focused, often lonely work. For someone who already feels comfortable being on their own, that kind of work is not a punishment. It's just normal life. Of course, being a loner is not automatically a superpower. It comes with real risks, too. Isolation can amplify anxiety, overthinking, and self-criticism. You might talk yourself out of good opportunities just because you're afraid to be seen, judged, or rejected. The goal is not to romanticize loneliness, but to understand it. If you have few or no friends, the world will happily tell you that you are broken. But the truth is more complicated. Some of the same traits that make you hard to understand socially can make you exceptionally strong in areas where most people struggle. Discipline, independence, focus, and long-term thinking. So how do you turn this into a real advantage instead of just a theory?
Step 1 is awareness. Recognize that your need for solitude is not a defect. It is a preference and a pattern that you can consciously design around. Instead of fighting it, use it. If you know you're comfortable spending long periods alone, choose goals that reward that. This might mean learning coding, design, writing, research, editing, trading, content creation, or any deep skill craft that you can practice for hours without external validation. The fewer people you need to impress on a daily basis, the more freedom you have to focus on mastery. Step 2 is intentional structure. Loners can drift for years if they don't give their time a clear direction. Without structure, solitude turns into numb scrolling, random consumption, and mental overthinking. With structure, the same solitude becomes a training ground. This is where simple systems help. For example, decide that every weekday night you will invest one focused hour in a single skill that increases your earning potential. Or that every weekend you will review your spending and make one small decision that makes your future self richer, not poorer. It doesn't look dramatic from the outside, but over the course of a year, these quiet decisions completely change your trajectory. Step 3 is selective connection. Having no friends does not mean you must stay completely isolated forever. It means you get to be extremely intentional about who you let into your inner world. Instead of chasing large groups, look for 1 or 2 people who share your values, your curiosity, or your level of ambition. The right connections act like a force multiplier. They don't drain your energy with constant drama. They challenge you, support your goals, and respect your need for space. Even one person like that can make your journey feel less like exile and more like a strategy. Finally, remember this. The world is not designed for people who think deeply and move slowly. It is designed for quick reactions, constant posting, and surface-level connection. If you don't fit that mold, it will always feel like something is wrong with you. But if you look closer, you'll see something else. Many of the people who quietly build wealth, freedom, and a life on their own terms do not spend their days in big friend groups. They spend long stretches alone, learning, building, and executing while everyone else is competing for attention. If you have few or no friends, your life doesn't have to be a sad story. It can be a different kind of story. One where your silence is not emptiness, but preparation. One where your distance from the crowd is exactly what allows you to see opportunities that everyone else is too busy to notice. You don't need to become someone you're not. You just need to stop apologizing for the way you're wired and start using it with intention. Because in a world that cannot stop talking, the person who can work in silence often wins the longest game.